evening, and Kate Milafalcha to the latest episode of the Late Late Show with me, Irish Tommy. And tonight we'll be talking about our trip to Bucharest, a successful trip. A lot to talk about there, particularly the youngsters making their debuts, which was great to see. Also, we'll take a look ahead to the Palace game and anything else in general that comes up during the chat. So I'm on my own tonight. So I usually like to have a guest or two on, but it's just me tonight, unfortunately. So going to need you guys in the chat because I'm going to involve you guys heavily tonight. I want to hear what you have to say about everything West Ham. Any comments, any questions, and we'll be sure to add it in. So say hi if you're in the chat already, and so we know who's in the house. And so first off, we're going to talk about the game last night. Obviously, first and foremost, a great result. 3-0 away from home is never bad. Limited opposition. FCSB, obviously, not a particularly good side, but they're still at home, and they would have been looking to have a go at us. Premier League club. They didn't have anything to play for really. They were going to finish bottom of the group, whatever happened. But anytime a team like that is playing a Premier League club, it's still a scalp, and they would have been hoping to maybe get a famous victory or even a draw for them. I think would have been a big result, but it wasn't to be. We were just too good for them, even with a much weakened side. It was almost as interesting who didn't travel to the game. I mean, virtually the entire first team and a lot of the first team squad didn't travel. And it shows how much we've come along, actually, in the space of 12 months, because the names that were sitting at home watching on the TV, like you and I, is quite a good list. And it shows the depth we have this season compared to last. We were still able to bring some first team squad players over there and give them some time on the pitch. And we're able to add in a sprinkling of youngsters as well, particularly off the bench. We only started the game with 2. I thought we might see a little bit more than that at the beginning of the game. But we did see 5 of them also come off the bench. So, 7 youngsters involved in the game. Fantastic experience for them. And it was great for us as fans as well to actually get to see these players often for the first time. I think for a lot of us, we wouldn't have seen much of them, at under 18 or under 21 level or very little. So it was great to see them involved. And I have to say, young Ollie Scarles had a great game at wing back. His deliveries were really, really good. Every delivery was dangerous. So it was great to see him make his debut. A lot of talk about Ollie Scarles, that he has a big future. And last night certainly gave us a little insight into that. So it was brilliant to see him. Like I said, quite a strong team, though. We did have some very experienced players in there, and I think that was the right way to go. Like I say, I would have liked to maybe have seen a couple more in at the start, but you can go kind of full-on youngster. I think these players, if they're going to perform well, and you're going to give them an environment in which they can perform, I think they do need senior pros around them. I think if you just put in a team full of youngsters, I don't really think it does so much for them. They're used to playing with all these other youngsters, and it's essentially just a kind of a youth team that's playing. I think when you put them in against these experienced pros, it's better for them because they need to get used to playing with these kinds of pros. I think it helps to bring them along. And I think they prefer playing, with those kind of names around them, So for Scarles, for example, to be playing alongside the likes of Lanzini and Fornals, etc. I think that would have been a massive buzz for them, and it's the right way to go. I think Moyes got it right in starting a lot of kind of first team squad members alongside the youngsters, and then to bring on more of the youngsters once the game really was in the bag. At 3-0 up, we're comfortable, we're cruising, and then you can bring more of them on. And they're coming into an environment that's comfortable and where there's no pressure on it. The game is won, and they can just get on there and show what they can do. So, a really important night for all of them. Like I say, top of the group. 5 games, 5 wins, 15 points, plus 9 goal difference, I believe. So a very comfortable, very successful group stage, which is all you can ask for. Limited opposition. I know we haven't played any really good teams yet. But like I say, it's the Conference League in the group stage. You're probably going to have that. So it's in March now, in the last 16, where we're going to really get proper kind of teams that are going to put it up to us more. But, that's for a few months down the line. Okay, let's have a look and see who's in. Mandy G, the ever-reliable Mandy, always here. Appreciate you. How are you doing, Mandy? I hope I don't mispronounce it. Is it Callie Lindelof? Cal? Forgive me, I'm not sure. I'm sorry if I butchered it. Jerry Moffat's in. Evening, Jerry. How are you? Also, we've got John Murdoch in here. Evening, John. Neil from Down Under. How are you, Neil? 8:35 a.m. Saturday morning. Yeah, Neil, who just apparently doesn't sleep. He's a good lad. I've known Neil for a long time now. Good lad and loves his West Ham. Hope we can keep these players to get loaned out and you don't see them again. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough for these youngsters. I think it's more difficult now for youngsters to get into a Premier League first team squad and to get real meaningful game time and establish themselves as a first team player. Managers don't get so much time these days. They're under a lot of pressure, managers. If things go wrong, I mean, we saw this season Moyes was coming under pressure after a few games. So you have to really believe in a youngster, I think, to put your trust in them enough to put them in the first team and keep playing them, because they're going to make mistakes early on. And if mistakes are costing you points, after a few games of that, it can put you under pressure as a manager. I don't think it's so easy for these youngsters to break into Premier League teams now anymore. But certainly, I think games like this are a godsend for a manager, because it gave Moyes an opportunity last night to really properly have a look at these players without any pressure on it. Even if the worst case scenario had happened and we'd ended up losing the game, it wasn't going to cost us anything. We were still top of the table. But yeah, there were some promising performances in there, and we do have some youngsters in there that have a chance. That have got a chance. We've also got James Bond. Evening, James. Good to see you. And Mandy saying Moyes has shown he likes to compete in domestic cups. And some of them kids we'll see again this season, Tommy. Yeah, it's going to be difficult for them, Mandy, to be honest. It's going to be difficult for them to get any meaningful game time this season. So, like I say, it's a difficult balance for Moyes. On the one hand, you want to try and give them a chance and see which ones maybe can add to the team and can make it at this level. But at the same time, like I say, Moyes is under pressure, for results. I mean, we're expected to compete in the Premier League inside that top 10 and push for a European spot. We're expected to progress in Europe deep into this competition and potentially win it. And obviously in the domestic cups, he can't just chuck them out the window. If he puts, a very young squad out, for example, next week against Blackburn, they get turned over, he'll probably ship some criticism for that and say that he shouldn't have played so many of them, that he should have had more first team members in. But I think he'll do that. I think next week, whether you'll see a couple of the youngsters, I don't know. Has Scarlett done enough to maybe warrant a run out against Blackburn? Blackburn are going really well in the Championship. They're going to be a difficult side next week. So it'll be interesting to see, Mandy. It'll be interesting to see. Skipper said, just checked to see where some of last season's youngsters were and never knew Sonny Perkins went to Leeds. Yeah, Sonny unfortunately decided to move on. I think he just perhaps didn't see a pathway into the first team here at West Ham and decided that he maybe had a bigger opportunity at Leeds. Whether it pans out that way remains to be seen. But I know we wanted him to stay around. We wanted to keep him, but unfortunately, maybe he didn't get the reassurances that he was looking for. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but we'll see. Look, I mean, whether Sonny makes it or not remains to be seen. But he may never be heard of again, really, at Premier League level. You just don't know with these youngsters. It's hard to tell. Jerry's saying our biggest problem right now is we can't score goals freely. Yeah, it is a big problem. We do create opportunities. I think our finishing has left a lot to be desired. It has to be said. There's a number of players that maybe are not great goal scorers in our team. You know, whether it's Benrahma or Fornells, Antonio, even, you know, not a great finisher. Even though he, you know, for a long time he was our number 9, and we were kind of relying on him a lot. And this season, of course, Bowen's form has dried up. You know, he hasn't been great this season, Bowen, and so he hasn't really been scoring goals either. And it's a problem. It really is. And you know, Skamaka, who's the one player in there who really is like a proper goal scorer, and we just unfortunately haven't been able to supply him with the opportunities that he needs to score the goals. And so we're going to have to do something about that going forward, and it's hard to know what. You know, we can't change the players we've got right now, so we're going to have to figure out how to create, I think, more clear-cut chances. I know there's been a lot of talk of that we've gotten a lot of shots off, but I don't think you can really judge it just on how many shots you've gotten off. I think you know, it's about the quality of the chances that you're creating, and if you're creating very good chances, then you're going to convert more of them. I think we've had a lot of shots really that were kind of half chances, or you know, weren't really clear-cut open goal scoring chances, and we need to improve on that. And you know, fingers crossed, you know, that Paqueta will be available Sunday. Cornet will be back very shortly, because Cornet has looked very dangerous actually in front of goal, and assists a lot as well. So if we can get Cornet back fit, get him in the team, Paqueta as well was just starting to find his feet and get used to the Premier League, and then he obviously picked up this collarbone injury, which has kept him out. So you know, hopefully things will start happening a bit more. It would be nice as well if Bowen found some form. You know, he hasn't been great so far this season. He really needs to start upping his game. John Murdoch, I hope we see the young ones that didn't get on last night get around against Blackburn and Sheffield. You go a couple up. Yeah, I think there will be some youngsters on the bench, certainly. And depending on the scoreline and how things are going, we could see some of them. I certainly think some of them are good enough actually to play in that game from the start. I think Ashby could certainly play at right back or right wing back, depending on the formation. I think it would be worth trying him. Scarles is only 16. Is he ready for Blackburn? I don't know. I doubt if Moyes would do that, to be honest. I think it's more likely we'll see Emerson in that game over on that left-hand side. But like you say, if things are going really well, and you know we're 3-0 up, for example, or something like we were last night, then I think Moyes certainly would be willing to spring some more from the bench. See what Neil has to say. Fornells plays much better when he's given the freedom to center of the pitch instead of being a workhorse stuck out on the left-hand side. Yeah, I think we've all been feeling that way for a long time. Fornells is not a left-sided midfielder. He doesn't play particularly well out there, I don't think. He obviously works very hard and gets about and does what Moyes expects of him, which is why Moyes keeps playing him out there. But as an attacking threat, he just doesn't carry any really out on that left-hand side. It's not his natural position, as you say, Neil. And we got an insight last night into how good he is centrally. And, you know, he should have played an awful lot more in that number 10 role. But obviously, if Paqueta's back now, I think, you know, Fornells is going to have to take his place on the bench. You would think Benrahma will play on Sunday, given that Fornells played last night, but I just worry that the fact that he scored a couple of goals last night, you just worry that maybe Moyes will think, maybe I should play Pablo instead. I hope he doesn't. Really, unless Paqueta's not available, then if Fornals plays in that number 10 role, I'd be absolutely fine with that. But I don't want to see him out on that left hand side anymore. Jerry, I think Scamacca becoming under pressure. Hopefully, will come good. Depends what you mean by pressure. I don't know if he's coming under pressure. I think he's frustrated. We haven't been supplying him with enough opportunities, not by a long shot. I think he's frustrated at feeling so isolated up front on his own. If you're going to play a striker on his own up front, you've got to get players around him. They've got to be supported. You've got to create openings for them. And since Paqueta's gone out, really, we haven't created much of anything for Scamacca to get his teeth into. And so I think he's frustrated at that, which I can understand. The West Ham youth side seemed really good at one-touch pass and move. I was really impressed. Seemed better than the first team. Yeah, I mean, passing has been an issue for us actually a bit this season. We have been quite sloppy with our passing. Now, hopefully, that will improve. We'll have Aguerd in soon. I think at centre back, he looks a really good passer of a ball. Kerr is on the right hand side at the moment. He can pass the ball. We get Paqueta, Cornet back in. They're good passers. Obviously, Declan Rice, very good passer. Flynn Downs, very good passer. So the players are there who can pass the ball. Obviously, Fornals as well can pass. So I think if we can get some of those players into the team, hopefully we'll see an improvement on that. But yeah, those youngsters looked technically really nice. I enjoyed the game. West Ham side enjoyed attacking football. Fornals looked really good. Yeah, again, Fornals playing in his more natural role, and you can see the difference. There was just a massive difference in Pablo's play. Even managed to bag a couple of goals for himself. The first one was a really good finish, actually, because he was coming under pressure from the centre back. He was getting leaned on, and the centre back got a foot in there as well. And that left-footed finish from Fornals was a very nice finish. Even though our first goal last night was offside, he shot like a rocket and gave the keeper no chance to stop it. Yeah, really, really good finish. According to Athletics, Scamacca's upset with Moyes' defensive tactics. Yeah, I saw that that report in the Athletic, and it's believable. Unfortunately, I think Scamacca is frustrated. He looks frustrated. I know Italians are a bit moody anyway, but he definitely looks frustrated. And again, I don't blame him. I do not blame him. I'd be frustrated if I was Scamacca, to be completely honest. Lawrence, I don't like Moyes putting players out of their favourite position, making creative players play more defensive. Yeah, I don't think any of us particularly like it. Moyes does this all the time. He loves putting square pegs in round holes. It just doesn't help our cause at all, unfortunately. A good time you were saying about Scamacca. Yeah, I think everyone can kind of see it, to be honest, that he's very, very frustrated. I have great respect for the way Moyes treats his players. He's been hard but fair with Benny. Benny's a better player now than he has been. Moyes knows what he's doing. Excuse me. Yeah, it's been a bit of a rough ride for Benny, to be fair. He's had to do a lot to kind of prove himself to Moyes. I think he's done that to a large degree now. We are seeing more of Benny in the first team. He does seem to be the preferred choice on the left now, more so than Fornals, which is good to see. I still think Benny has some work to do, though, John, if I'm honest. With the ball at his feet, he's very good, and he does get forward and drive at the box, and I really like that about Benny. He can skin players, particularly going to the line. When he's going to the dead ball line, he likes that cut in towards the byline, and he gets around people regularly. He just has really got to work on the final ball. Sometimes, he often lets himself down just with that final pass, doesn't get it quite right, or the cross is not of good enough quality when he clips it in. And his finishing is not great either. So I still think he's a little bit frustrating for me that he gets into such great positions, does a lot of really good work, and then he just kind of lets himself down right at the end. So Vinay, Drummer, so you think he's heard refer to Areola? I think Areola has lost his place in the French team because he's not selected. Yeah, the goalkeeper one probably splits opinion a little bit, I think. Now, I personally would have Areola as our first choice goalkeeper. I really like Areola. I think his distribution is better than Fabianski, but to be fair, Fabianski has had some very good games this season. It's not like Fabianski's a poor keeper by any means. I think Fabianski is still a very good keeper. Moyes obviously really likes him. Um, but I think whatever happens, I think Areola will absolutely be first choice next season. Um, so maybe Areola's a little frustrated. I don't know, but I wonder if Fabianski is going to be back on Sunday because the fact that Areola played last night suggests Fabianski will be okay for Sunday, but you don't know for sure because a goalkeeper isn't the same as an outfield player. Areola could absolutely play last night in Bucharest and play at home to Palace on Sunday. Um, yeah, I don't know the situation if I'm honest with the French national team. I don't know what the goalkeeping situation is there. If he's lost his place because of that, but he's still playing a lot of football, Areola. It's not like he's had no games. He still played quite a bit in goal for West Ham this season. So, yeah. Specken's contract is finishing. That's bring the house down of late. Well, I don't know about that. I think that might be a little harsh, James. I don't think the supply has been great to Skamaka. I do think he's a really good finisher. Um, you just wonder if his frustration is affecting him. If the fact that he's not particularly happy with the supply he's getting and how isolated he is, if that's kind of affecting what happens in front of goal when the ball does come to him, and but we need to sort it out quickly. We've got to start supplying him because he is our number 9. We've seen he's a really, really good finisher. He's a cracking player. I think Skamaka is brilliant. And we've got to start supplying him with the ammo because he will score a lot of goals for us and will earn us a lot of points. But like I said, hopefully now we can get Cornet and Paqueta back in the team. We might see that change, fingers crossed. Benny has no end product and gives the ball away a lot. Also cannot cross with his left foot. But apart from that, yeah, look, like I said, I agree on the end product. As for giving the ball away a lot, that actually doesn't bother me so much, if I'm honest, because I don't mind attacking players losing possession that much. Now, if it's a really sloppy pass, then fair enough. You don't want to see that. But I think you have to allow attacking players to lose the ball. I said this on this show last week. You have to allow attacking players to lose the ball. You have to let them try things. To create opportunities, you've got to try things. So if he runs at the fullback and takes him on and gets dispossessed, okay, I can live with that. If he tries to play a through ball, to put someone through on goal, and it gets cut out, that's losing the ball. I don't mind that. I'd rather see the players take these things on and risk losing possession than to trying to be so obsessed with not losing the ball that they start playing it safe and nothing happens. So losing possession doesn't bother me so much from attacking players. I want to see them try things and try and make things happen. I wouldn't want to upset and tell an Irishman. Even my wife's comes under the latter category. I definitely wouldn't want to upset her. No, I think it's always a good policy to keep the wife on side. Yeah, Jerry, it's definitely. Lawrence, what's the best formation for Palace? Excuse me. Best formation for Palace. I think either 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3. I think either one would be fine against Palace. Just depends on where you put people and who you're playing. I'd go 4-2-3-1. Palace are not particularly strong in midfield. I'd go 4-2-3-1. But having said that, I'd be playing Rice and Downs Whereas in that 4-2-3-1, Moyes is going to play Rice and Souček, and I don't want to see that. So if Souček has to play, which is probably what's going to happen with Moyes, then I'd rather go 4-3-3 because we can also get Downs in there. But again, it's still quite defensive at home to Palace to have all three of them on there. And I certainly don't want to see Downs in the number 10 role again. It's not his best position. But if it's me, I'm going 4-2-3-1 against Palace. We mustn't underestimate Palace are a good side. Yeah, absolutely. Palace are a really decent team. I think Vieira's doing a decent job there. They're a decent side, Palace. They got some good players, and make no mistake, we'll be in a game on Sunday, and Palace will come trying to win this game, and they'll have a go at us on Sunday, and we're going to have to play really well. If we're going to win this game, we're going to have to be at it, and let's just hope we don't have one of our slow starts again and end up 1-0 down and chasing it. What have we got? 25-1 odds. Might be the next to be shown the door. It's a good bet. I think most of the attacking players are not happy. Third worst scoring record in the league. The goals have dried up. Yeah. I don't see. The thing is, I don't think Moyes is under pressure from upstairs at the moment. I don't think there's any great pressure on him from the board. I don't think he's on the verge or anything like that. Now, that could change very quickly if the next two Premier League games, home to Palace and Leicester, don't go well for us. I think we could see a complete shift, and the pressure would be massively back on him if we don't do well in these next two games. I'll just lay my cards on the table. I know it's a red button issue at the moment, the Moyes in or Moyes out kind of thing. I would rather a change of manager, to be completely honest. I think the kind of players that we're getting in, the likes of Paqueta, Scamacca, Cornet, really, really attacking players, I don't think Moyes does get the best out of them, and I don't know if he ever will. I just don't know if he's the kind of manager to manage those players and get the best out of them. So I'm very, very doubtful about Moyes going forward. Look, Moyes we've already spoken about Fornals being played as a left winger. It's ridiculous, really, how many times he's had to play out there. But also, playing Flynn Downs at number 10, I'm sorry, it's ridiculous. And only Moyes would have a holding number 10 on the pitch. It's not for me. I'm not a fan of Moyes' style of play. I'm not a fan of his approach to the game. And I just don't like the way he approaches things. I think another manager could get a lot more out of the attacking players that we have, frankly. Fab hasn't done anything wrong. I would like to see a start in league games, but Fab doesn't deserve to be dropped. Look, I've said before, John, it's not a hill I'm willing to die on. The keeper situation isn't one of the ones that concerns me at West Ham. I think we're lucky enough that we've got two very good keepers in the first team squad. Fabianski has been, overall, I think has been a really, really good keeper for us since he arrived. But I do think Areola's time is coming. I think from next season, I think Areola will be our number one choice keeper. So he'll just have to bide his time. And, he's getting his games in Europe, and I'm sure Areola will play against Blackburn as well. So he's getting games. I agree, he looks really good, but he's got lots of chances of later he's missed the target. Yeah, fair enough. Look, every striker is going to... Not everyone's Haaland, These strikers are going to miss some opportunities. But again, I think, the supply hasn't been the best either, so it's a little bit of both. But I think in the long term, I think Scamacca will prove to be a really, really good striker for us. Oreo has never been a France regular. I don't know and I don't care. I'm not worried about France or what's going on with their first team. Excuse me. John Murray Fab has done nothing. was marginally better. The keeper in a game, small margin is important. Yeah, look, I do like the distribution of Areola. That's one of the major reasons I'd like to see him in ahead of Fabianski. Mandy, how are you again? Hi, Tommy Fornals. At his best game for 12 months in a more dominant central midfield role. We might play him there in the league. You'd like to think so. You'd like to think that last night would have been a little bit of an eye opener for Moyes. To say, okay, Pablo played really, really well centrally, because it was glaringly obvious how much better he was. But then you don't know with Moyes. Moyes might just think, well, he should be playing that well against someone like FCSB. But yeah, I would like to think that if Paqueta isn't available, that Moyes would think, yeah, look, Fornals is a much better option than Downs in that particular position. So we'll see, Mandy. We'd all like to think so, but don't hold your breath. Let me see what else we have here. Lawrence, do you believe in this Moyes transaction? Yeah, I don't know what you mean by this Moyes transaction. Just elaborate on that, Lawrence, please. If rephrase it for me so I understand what you're saying. I'm Moyes agnostic. If the board replaced him after the World Cup, I won't complain. If he stays with Sam, we'll probably win the Conference Cup. We are certainly, I think, second favourites, very slightly behind Villarreal for the Conference League. I don't know if I trust Moyes to win a tournament, even this one, even though we're potentially the best team in it. I don't trust Moyes to win any tournament, to be completely honest. I hope I'm proven wrong, and I hope we do go on and win this, because judging by our league performances so far, I think that is our very best chance of having European football next season, is to win the Conference League this season. I just don't know if Moyes' approach to the game is going to get us actually over the line to win a tournament. So we'll see. But I think things have to be going pretty bad in the league for the board to actually decide to sack him, to be honest. And I don't think we're at that point at all right now. Moyes is as safe as houses. Yeah, at the moment, I think he is, John. I think he's safe. I agree, Moyes used down as a defensive number 10 and Fornals as a defensive left winger. Who else in football does that? Yeah, I can't think of anyone, Vinay. It's a crazy situation, really. And, I love Flynn Downs. Don't get me wrong. This is not me saying Flynn Downs should be dropped. I think he should be playing alongside Rice in midfield where he belongs. And I think he could do an absolutely fantastic job for us in that position. But he should not be playing as a number 10 whatsoever. He's just not a number 10, and Fornals has shown he can play really well there. Why not play him there? It's a more natural position for him. But for some bizarre reason, Souček is absolutely undroppable in Moyes' eyes. He just absolutely will not drop him because of the defensive work he does. And if you do really good defensive work, you've got every chance of playing for West Ham, even as a number 10 or as a left winger. If you're good defensively, you can play anywhere for Moyes. He doesn't mind. Moyes and people, do you love defensive football, or do you see him as a necessary evil, or is it just loyalty or fear of being relegated if he goes? Yeah, let's see what people say. I agree that Areola time is coming. He would have known before he signed what the situation was. Yeah, Areola doesn't seem put out by it. He seems to understand, that, like you say, that his time is coming and that he is going to get his chance, and it's going to be probably next season. But like I say, I think it would be different if he wasn't getting any football. If we weren't in Europe, for example, and he'd barely seen any game time. But I think the fact that he's getting to play in Conference League games, and like I say, he'll play next week against Blackburn. He has made league appearances, obviously, as well. So he's getting good game time. So I think that would probably keep him relatively happy, and he'll know that he'll be first choice sooner rather than later. Okay, so I don't understand the Moyes upgrade. He thought he brought new players in. How did he intend to use them? It's been said that he cannot get the best out of them. You have a good backroom team. Yeah, I don't think he gets the best out of them either. I think he holds back our attacking players, frankly, just because of his natural cautious approach to football. I think he just doesn't get the best out of the attacking players that we have. Should be getting more out of them. He should be more positive in games and getting after teams more. I mean, a lot of weeks. If you look at the Premier League, obviously you got the likes of Man City and uh, who are flying it. And we don't have a squad to compare with them, but outside of a very small handful of Premier League teams, I mean, we're at least on a level footing, if not better than them. So we've got a better squad than a lot of teams in the Premier League, and the first 11 that we can put out is very, very good. And I just hate how cautiously Moyes approaches games against virtually everybody. Um, we should be capable of taking on a lot of the teams that we play and getting a result against them. And I just wish he would put more trust in the ability that our players have, and just let them get after teams. I don't mean gung ho and throwing the kitchen sink at people before I get that in the comment section, which I always seem to get. Um, I mean, just be a bit more positive and a bit more attacking. Let our players get after teams. I think Moyes would be pleasantly surprised at the kind of results that we're capable of, and the amount of goals that we're capable of scoring if he just unmuzzles the players. Managerial Rice Downs and Fornals in the central 10 with Paqueta. Rice Downs and Fornals. Do you mean Rice Downs? Excuse me. Do you mean Rice Downs and Fornals in the central 10 with Paqueta? So where are Fornals and Paqueta in that, Mandy? Do you mean a midfield three of Rice Downs and Fornals, or a midfield three of Rice Downs and Paqueta with Fornals in the 10? Which one do you have in the 10, Mandy? Just for clarity, please. I prefer not to be a yo-yo club. More pretty football is overrated. Yeah, believe it or not, James, you can play good football and attractive football and attacking football and not get relegated, amazingly. Moyes played Fornal since because we had a natural left footer on the wing to help the fullback in Scarls. Yeah, well, I mean, Fornal should never play on the left. Let me get this one up. I put at the injuries, picked the team selection, and we attacked. I suppose Chelsea, Liverpool, Man United. We should have got something from all those games. We were certainly better against United, but it still took time. I think it was around. It took us, I think, an hour or so, or a little over an hour to get our first shot on target. So while I think we played a little bit better, I think it was really only the last kind of 15 odd minutes, 20 minutes where we actually really put any kind of sustained pressure on United. And I'll be completely honest with you. I think the reason we were able to do that had less to do with Moyes and more to do with Ten Hag. I think Ten Hag played into our hands. I think we got control in the midfield and we were matching them, and they were 1-0 up. And I think I think Ten Hag got a little bit edgy, and he actually did a Moyes. I think Ten Hag did a Moyes. He brought on Fred and then McTominay to shore up the midfield, which was a really defensive kind of move. And I think he handed control of the game over to us. United players got the message. When you see Fred and McTominay come on, the message to your players there is, all right, we're going to try and hang on to this and shore things up. And that's exactly what they did. They ended up just kind of retreating back further and further and invited us onto them. It's usually what Moyes does when he's trying to sit on a lead. But Ten Hag did it in the game last week and really just handed complete control of the game over to us, which is why in the last 15 minutes that we were able to actually have a sustained period of attack. But it was the only one that we had in the game, really. So now I'm going to it jumped ahead. So, okay, Mandy G gives me an answer just ahead of Rice and Downs. Okay, so yeah, but you wanted Fornals and Paqueta in the team, Mendy, right? So who's where? Where are Fornals and Paqueta? Or do you mean either or? One of them should be in the 10, depending on Paqueta's availability, is it? I agree if that's what you're saying, that, they should be the number 10 and the backup number 10. They would high press with Bowen and Skamaka. Right, okay, I've got you. Agree with most comments. We have potentially an excellent first 11. For me, it is Moyes who is holding us back in the ability and fair player was. Yeah, I mean, Moyes isn't doing us any favours with his love of Soucek either. And frankly, his love of Bowen. Bowen has not been good this season, and he's still playing. The Moyes in phenomenal reminds you of the support George Graham got from Arsenal fans. They used to sing on to the Arsenal with pride. Then came Wenger, and the rest is history. Yeah, it'd be nice if we could get a Wenger type manager, wouldn't it, to absolutely transform us? But it's a dream. If everyone is fit, what would your starting 11 be? Okay. All right, let's do this. And I want to hear your opinions on this actually in the comment section as well. I want to hear what your starting 11 is and formation wise with everybody fit. Let's go with Moyes' favourite formation, which is 4-2-3-1. It's a formation I like. I think it's a solid formation. So at 4-2-3-1, everybody fit. I've already alluded to the goalkeeper. Areola for me is our best keeper. So I'd have Areola in goal. At the moment, it would have to be Kerr at right back. I still don't think it's a perfect option at right back. I still think we need to sort that position out. Kerr, though, has played well there, to be fair to him. He's been good. So at the moment, Kerr right back. Aguerd and Zuma in the centre. As much as I love Big Dawes, Aguerd looks mustard. He really does. He looks a great player, and I thought Zuma was phenomenal at Old Trafford. I thought he was man of the match. He was absolutely brilliant. So Aguerd and Zuma in the centre, 100%. Again, left back, Cresswell. Cress has actually played really well this season. I think his form's been really good. Again, I think long term we're going to have to find, a top quality right back / wing back or left back / wing back for that side. Hopefully next summer we'll be able to sign someone like that. But I do think those are priority positions now. Actually, Mendy, I think both of those flanks at the back are going to have to be sorted out next summer. It's the position right now that I look at, and I think we need a really proper kind of modern day fullback / wing backs over there who can make a real difference, who are good defensively, but are also really good getting forward and getting those crosses into the box. So put really good deliveries in. It's very important, obviously, in modern day football. So those are priority positions for next season. But at the moment, Kerr and Cress are playing well, and they're our best options at the moment. Central midfield, Rice and Downs for me, it's a no-brainer. Again, something you don't really have to think about. Rice goes without saying, obviously, club captain, unbelievable world-class footballer. Downs has been so impressive this season. I'm even surprised at how good he is. I thought it would take him a little longer to make the step up and to improve, but he's come on in absolute leaps and bounds. And again, I think your Conference League has been massively important in that respect this season. European football is so important to us because it allows these players the kind of game time that they need to bring them along, and bring them along quickly. Players will improve so much more quickly if they're actually playing meaningful competitive games. Moyes won't do that with them in the Premier League. He'll kind of drip feed them into the team in the Premier League, but he has no problem playing those same players in the Conference League. For example, in the group stage, you've got 6 games there, that Downs can be involved in, and I think it's brought him on a ton, being able to play in those games with the first team players that are around him. He's been phenomenal, Flynn Downs. His passing is brilliant. He gets stuck in as well. He works hard. He dispossesses people. He can carry the ball forward as well comfortably. So how he's not starting ahead of Souček beside Rice is beyond me. Again, a no-brainer for me for him to start alongside Rice. And the one time they did actually in the Europa League, I thought they looked like a great partnership. So that's the midfield. I'm going to take form into account as well at the moment in this best 11. I think Paqueta is the obvious number 10. Again, probably don't need to explain too much on that one. So definitely Paqueta at number 10. Left-hand side, Cornet. From what I've seen from Cornet this season, he looks a really, really good player. He's got pace to burn. He's very positive on the ball. He's always attacking opponents, getting forward as much as he can. He scores goals. He assists. He's a real, real danger in and around the box. It's just a real shame that he picked up that injury when he did, because he had just broken into the team, and I think he was going to be in that starting 11 week in, week out at that point on that left-hand side. He had gone ahead of Fornals and Benrahma in the pecking order, in my opinion, and he was looking really sharp. So it's a damn shame that Cornet got injured, but 100% I'll have him on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, in form, it would be Bowen, because we saw last season what a great player Bowen is. At the moment, though, for whatever reason, he's just not at it. He just isn't at it. And to be honest with you, what I would do, which is what I would do actually on Sunday against Palace, is I would play Antonio on the right wing. It's a more natural position for him. It takes a little bit of the pressure off from him scoring goals, because he's not leading the line anymore. And I want to see him on the pitch with Scamacca and just see, how they get on together. Okay, I know it's not them exactly playing up front as a partnership, but but obviously Antonio will drive in and around the box. He'll be in and around Scamacca a lot in that position. And I just think with Jared Bowen's form, I think Antonio could do a lot of damage for us on that right-hand side. He's very good on the right wing. So I'd really like on Sunday to see Antonio out on the right-hand side. Again, like Souček, Bowen is a player that Moyes just does not seem to want to drop whatsoever, regardless of his form. He just plays every week, no matter what. And I think Bowen should be dropped, frankly, for Antonio at this point. And Scamacca obviously up top. So I think with everyone fit, that would be my team. And who was it mentioned it earlier about the passing? And think about how good the passing is in that team. Like I said, Kerr and Aguerd especially are very good passers of the ball. Rice and Downs, very good passers of the ball. Paqueta, very good passer of a ball. Scamacca has shown as well he's got a really good pass. So yeah, I think that would improve things for us. All right, let's scroll down through the comments. Team is playing better every week. Not true. Not all defensive. Just have put those chances away. Small margin in the Premier season. Table is proof. Not being lucky in some games. Yeah, look, I understand we've had a couple of things go against us. I don't deny that. But really, the particular one obviously is the Chelsea one. The goal that was ruled out. I think that one was really harsh. But I don't like cursing luck all the time. Like I say, we've missed chances. Every team misses chances, though. I mean, we've probably won games that we mightn't have won as well. So it's, I don't like bringing luck into it. That we've been unlucky with decisions or unlucky in front of goal or anything. I don't kind of buy into that so much, Paul, if I'm completely honest. I think we've not been playing particularly well in a lot of those games. We just haven't, but look, hopefully it'll turn around. But it's just my faith in Moyes isn't really there, if I'm honest. Now, look, things will look a lot rosier if we win at home to Palace and win at home to Leicester. Obviously, those 6 points right before we break up for the World Cup would make things look a lot better on the table. But we have to go and get those points, and I'm not convinced we will, to be honest. But we'll see, Paul. Are we missing Pearson and Noble involvement in the squad? I assume you mean Pierce. Yeah, I think we are actually. I think they were both really important to the team. I was really sorry to see Pierce go. I think he was doing a great job. Um, and Noble obviously goes without saying. You know, he's such a leader on and off the pitch. More so off the pitch last season, obviously, but I think we do miss it. I really do. I think it has hurt us um, as much as Irvine kind of leaving. I know he hadn't left the club, but leaving his position, shall we say, alongside Moyes, I think that didn't help us either. Um, yeah. Let's see what we got here. Managerial, Fredericks, and Diop were characters. Yeah, they were Fredericks and Diop apparently were hugely popular, particularly Fredericks. Apparently was a great guy to have around, but unfortunately, Mendy, you can't keep players around because of their character. Unfortunately, they've got to be good enough footballers too. He went defensive because we were on top before he changed his midfield. You mean Ten Hag? Yeah, that's what I said. We were really getting on top of midfield, and he didn't like it, and so he went much more defensive, and that played even more into our hands. His own Klopp did actually the same move, Ten Hag, so they both did a Moyes. This Moyes guy can't be that bad after all. Doesn't follow. Just doesn't follow. Don't compare Klopp to Moyes. It's just not the same manager whatsoever. We're all discovered Dodgy Var did us. Yeah, Dodgy Var did us out of a point. Moyes outflow reminds me of Arsenal last season. Look at them now. No, I'm sorry, Paul, but we are never ever going to play any kind of attractive attacking style of football like Arsenal are under Arteta with Moyes. This is what you get with Moyes, and this is all you're going to get, Paul. This is it. This is us under Moyes. That's it. We're never going to be attacking. We're always going to be defensive. City. That's a response to that. I don't want to give up on Moyes to European tournaments, avoiding relegation and attract some decent players, except that it needs to kickstart a season, but that's not going to after the World Cup. Yeah, look, I get the people who would be very slow to let Moyes go. I completely get it. Yeah, we 2 seasons ago finished 6th at a really good season. Last season 7th at a really good season and got to the semi-finals of the Europa League. So I completely get it because those memories are still very fresh and we remember where we were when Moyes took over. So don't get me wrong, I will never fail to praise him for the last 2 seasons. I really won't. He did a great job in those 2 seasons, and I know that has given him a lot of credit in the bank with a lot of fans who are willing to give him probably a lot of time to get things right and to improve on the way we're playing right now and improve on the results. So I understand that. Completely understand where you're coming from. I'm just one of those people that those last 2 seasons are in the bag and I'm very grateful for them. But I don't think a manager should be living off of it. I think if we're not having a good season with the players that we've got and we're underperforming and we're losing games we really ought not to be losing, and it goes on for any kind of sustained period of time, I think you've got to move on because you look at the players we've got. We shouldn't be kind of struggling the way we are. Now, look, he might turn it around. I don't know, but so there's that aspect of it for me where those last 2 seasons are in the bag, but we have to think about the club going forward as well. And if he's not able to get the best out of these players, and we continue to kind of hover down the bottom half of the table. I don't think that's good enough, given the money that we've spent and the players that he has available to him. So I wouldn't be as forgiving as some of you, although I completely understand why you are maybe more patient than I am. But I also have the philosophy issue as well. I just don't like his philosophy. I don't like the way he sets the team up. I don't like his cautiousness, his negativity, his defensive mindedness. I think it's too much, and I think it's holding us back. And he needs to bite the bullet now and actually trust these players a bit more, and trust that they can go out and beat a lot of the teams in this league. And I think if he doesn't do that, I think he's making a rod for his own back, to be completely honest. Suchek has been playing very well for the last 5 or so weeks. That dog's body position he's having to play seems to be too confusing for some. So it's been that way, Pike being a prime example. When it comes to Souček, I think he does a lot of good defensive work. There's no denying that. Defensively, he does very well. That's why he's in the team, because Moyes loves defensive players. I said it earlier. If you can play really well defensively, Moyes will put you in the team at number 10, just because you're very good defensively, like Flynn Downs, because you're very good at tackling and tracking back and closing down. He plays Fornells on the left of midfield for that very same reason, so he can help out Cresswell, get back, work hard, get the blocks in, get the tackles in. So you can play as an attacking player at West Ham under Moyes if you're very good defensively, and you can play in midfield for West Ham if you're virtually just good at defensive work. And that's why Souček's in the team. He does very well defensively. He clears a lot of balls in the air in there, does a lot of hard work, but he's a midfielder, and I just don't think as a midfielder that he's good enough on the ball. His passing is horrendous, frankly. He gives the ball away so cheaply all the time, and I'm sorry, just not good enough as a midfielder for me. But don't worry, James, you'll be seeing Souček every week. Moyes' dream team will have Antonio up top, Dawson's number 10 as well, and Justin on the right, Fornell's left, right, Souček and Dawson. Now he's only at the ground, Fabianski. A little strong, but yeah, a bit tongue in cheek, I know, but yeah, basically. So we've got Daniel Anderson, 4-2-3-1. So you've got Areola, Kerr, Zuma, Aguirre, Cresswell, Downs, Rice, Bowen, Paqueta, Cornes, Kamaka. Yeah, I think we'd all be very happy with that team. It's basically the same team, as I said, with the exception at the moment of Bowen because of his form. I just don't think he's bringing enough to the team right now to keep playing him. I'd try Antonio out on the right wing now instead of Bowen until he's improves a bit. Might be no harm for Bowen to realise his starting position on the right wing isn't sacred. Probably going up someone like Redknapp. Yeah, Redknapp would go with something like that. Redknapp would put attacking players on there. And Jerry Muff, I was just about to put my team information, and David Anderson called it exactly the same. 2 managers in the waiting. Yeah. If you're going to put that team out, you can have the job. Last at the bowling, Antonio was awesome left wing. Yeah, Antonio can play on the left as well. In fact, how many times when he was, our striker last couple of seasons, our number 9, how many times in a game did you see him drift over to the left-hand side, and operate out there, even when he was a number 9? He's very comfortable on either wing. He will never drop Fabs. No, he won't. Not this season. I think as long as Fabianski is fit, he will be Moyes' first choice keeper. Let's see what WHU58 has for us. Areola and goal, Kerr, Dawson. You're going. Okay, so you've got Kerr, Dawson, Zuma, Aguirre. I was looking for the other wingback. So you've got Aguirre at left back. Okay, interesting. Apparently he can play there. That would be an interesting way to get Dawson, Zuma and Aguirre on the pitch. I don't see that ever happening under Moyes. But yeah, Aguero's left-footed, could do a job there. Very good passer of a ball. He got pace. He could certainly get up and down the line. There's no question about that. That would be an interesting one, Aguero at left back. Don't know if I would do it because he's such a good centre back. But you see, Dawson plays really well at centre back too. So very interesting one. That I've never seen anyone do that before, and I didn't think about it, to be honest. Rice and Downs again, no brainer in midfield. Paqueta, Benny, Corny, Skamaka. Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it. Good side that. See what else we've got here. Let's see, Antonio at right back. Antonio at right back. Yeah, we've done that before. We've done that before. I don't know how long you've been following West Ham, P. Gads, but Bilic did that. Bilic played Antonio at right back, and he was awful. He was horrible. He was an absolute liability. And a few of the players, including Mark Noble, had to go to Bilic on the training ground and beg him to stop playing Antonio at right back. Yeah, trust me, you do not want to see Antonio at right back. Believe me. Starting players out of position is the way to go. Moyes is onto something. I want Areola, striker, and Lanzini goal. Downs is number 10. Downs is number 10 you already got. Moyes has already done that already a couple of times this season. Ogden left side of midfield. Again, tongue-in-cheek, but the point stands. West Ham's problem this season has been a lack of ability to burn door with a cow. The stats are terrible. Yeah, the stats are terrible. Listen, people will say to you, oh, we're creating chances, we're creating opportunities, not good ones. We're not creating enough clear-cut opportunities to score goals. We're getting shots off, but, these are not like high percentage efforts. These are kind of longer range efforts or shots. We're taking shots that just aren't on. It was twice it happened against at Old Trafford. I think Skamaka was one where he took a shot on the edge of the box when it was a defender in his face. It was always getting blocked. And I think Benny did it as well at one point. And so it's all right saying getting shots off, but we're not creating enough good goal-scoring opportunities where you've got a real chance to find the net. I'd like to see Antonio. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's yeah. Trust me, you don't want to see that. James on the Martini. Let's see what else we got here. Let's bring back Avram. No, James. Obviously, tongue-in-cheek. So it says, Jack says, yes, 100% Moyes deserves us to back him at least until Xmas. I wouldn't put a time frame on it. I would put a results frame on it. There's no point saying give him till Xmas. I mean, it's virtually 2 games. There's only 2 more games until Boxing, and then there's no more games until Boxing Day. So he's certainly going to get till Christmas. We go here. In your opinion, who could replace Moyes? Well, look, obviously, I haven't done a deep dive into potential managers. Maybe I'll do a little bit of that. Maybe I'll have a look at kind of managers around Europe and see what kind of managers we can get, because obviously once the World Cup starts, kind of West Ham news is going to really dry up, and I'm going to need things to talk about on this show while the World Cup's going on. Who could replace Moyes? I'd love to get Pochettino, to be honest. I know some fans don't like that particularly because he was former Tottenham manager. It doesn't bother me, frankly, that he used to manage Tottenham. I don't care. And I know there's some of you as well that say that Pochettino wouldn't come to West Ham. And you might be right. I don't know whether he'd be willing to take over or not. But certainly if he was willing, I'd love to get Pochettino. If he's not willing, I really like Thomas Frank at Brentford. I like the way he sets the team up. I like the way they play. he's done a really good job there. With limited budget. I just I would like to see what a manager like Thomas Frank, with his philosophy, his style of play, could do with the quality of player that we have. So yeah, someone like Pochettino, Thomas Frank, I think either one of those, I'd be really happy. It would have been brilliant to get Graham Potter, if obviously he's at Chelsea now, so that's not happening. I'm always in because I don't miss the yo-yo decades. Nobody does, but this West Ham team is not getting relegated. And again, James, you can play nice football and have a more attacking philosophy without getting relegated. I don't get this thing where people say, "Oh, if we get rid of Moyes, we might get relegated." No, we won't. This team isn't getting relegated. Might even surprise you, James. I might win games. There you go. From who played Thursday, Seven, Rice, and Soucek, we were first names and team sheet. Yes, every week, Mandy without fail. Rice for good reason, let's be honest. He should be the first name in the team sheet, but unfortunately, Soucek absolutely will play every bloody game. The Bone Out people went all quiet for a few weeks, to be fair. Yeah, I think he picked up a bit. He had a couple of games. He still wasn't back to his former last season, but he picked up a bit, and you felt like he was going in the right direction, and that he was getting there. And so you're like, okay, he played better in these last couple of games, so we keep him in there. It felt like he was turning the corner, but he went backwards again last week, unfortunately. Really poor game against United. So we gave Antonio's cross to Soucek from left wing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's, like I say, Antonio is comfortable both wings, and I think I'd like to see him out on that right wing instead of Bowen at the moment. Bowen's form is really poor, and Sevilla was unreal, best atmosphere I've seen. Yeah, I think we'll never forget that night. That was just an incredible night. Now, I wasn't at the stadium, but even if you were just at home watching it on TV, I mean, you could feel the atmosphere. It was literally coming through the TV. It was just unbelievable, and of course, the result. It was just a brilliant result against a really, really good side who were perennial winners in the Europa League, and that really, we'll never forget that, will we? It was amazing, and it was so brilliant because how long had we been waiting for a European night like that? And you didn't always want to be having to think back years and years for that experience, and to have that last season, it was just immense. I'd rather see Dawson and Aguerd as a centre back pairing. That's interesting. Yeah, I still think Zuma. I love Dawson, don't get me wrong. Really good player, but I just thought Zuma against United last week was unbelievable. It was just nothing got past him. He just was sensational. But I think you'll be disappointed, Mandy. I think Aguerd and Zuma is what we'll see in the future, particularly as it's very possible that Dawson will go in January. But if he doesn't go in January, he'll certainly go at the end of the season. So I just don't think there's a long-term future there for that pairing. But there'll still be a strong pairing. Don't get me wrong. That's still a strong pairing. But I still would have Zuma and Aguerd myself personally. Paul Evans, the checks have bounced, become a liability. Yeah, that's a strange one too. Sofal, what the hell's happened with him? Last season he was so good. I don't know what the hell's gone on with Sofal. He's gone backwards so much. In training, I'm sure Edo will be learning a lot from Fabs, just like Dawson is learning from Soucek and Rice, etc. I love negative football. I've seen the light. Anyone read 1984? The last sentence was, I've done it. I love Big Brother. Yes. I love Superfab, but Areola is next progression. Yeah, I'd like to say it's inevitable. He'll certainly be our first choice next season. And Debenham Dave, welcome, mate. It's not quite happening yet in the Premier League, but let's not forget 8 out of 8 in Europe. Moyes deserves time. Again, yeah, in Europe, obviously doing very well. It's not the same level as the Premier League, so it is easier to win games in the Conference League group stages. You're playing against much inferior opposition. As you can see, I mean, we make a lot of changes for the Conference League games, and we still win them and win the group, walk the group comfortably. He deserves time. Again, I understand completely when people say he deserves time. I completely get why people say that. It's just it's a philosophy thing with me as well, not just the results and performances. I just don't like his philosophy on the game, to be honest. Pellegrini is the man I'd bench for that. Christ, I definitely don't want Pellegrini back. He was clueless. Mancini is the only one for me. Don't see that happening. I don't know. I'm not so sure. I mean, I know he's the Italy manager, but they didn't qualify, and I think, even though he's the Italy manager and it's a great honour for him and all that, I think club football is still where it's at. It's a week in, week out job. I think if Mancini were offered the West Ham job, that would be very, very tempting for him, despite the fact he's managing his country, and I'm sure very proud to do so. I think that would be actually more doable than you think, Paul, actually. And that would be a great shout too. I mean, Skamaka would be delighted, I think, with that. I love Royce. I hope he moves on next season. He's too good for us. Knowles is the only reason he's with us this season. I don't think Knowles is the only reason he's with us this season. I just think there was no solid move for him this season. Nobody came in and tested the water, with a big bid for Rice this season. It just didn't materialize. And I don't hope he moves on. I'd love him to be here next season again, obviously. I'd love him to spend his whole career at West Ham, but it's just not realistic. But I certainly don't hope he moves on next season. He's a brilliant player and we need him, but let's just hope when he does leave that we get the maximum amount of money possible for him. I don't want him to, but it's inevitable. Yeah. Sevilla, Devon Dave, Sevilla was massive. Yeah, that was a real moment. Jack William 26 Seville was special. It really was. And we were unlucky out there as well. I think the players took a lot of confidence from the away leg in Sevilla, despite the fact we lost it 1-0. We shouldn't have lost it. We should have got something out of that game. But I think it proved to the players that they were a match for Sevilla, so that even though we were going into the second leg at home with that 1-0 deficit, I think the players actually believed that they could beat them because they'd played so well against them in the away leg at their gaff. That was an important thing for us, I think. James Bong, without a good defence, will always be relegation fodder. Historical lessons have been learned, thankfully. Yeah, being more attacking doesn't mean you forget to defend either, James. There is a balance to be had. Other teams do it. They have that balance between attack and defence. Again, when I say more attacking, I'm not talking about throwing kitchen sink at people. I'm not talking about abandoning defending. Every team wants to have a good defence, and we've got very, very good defenders. And we've got two cracking midfielders there as well in Rice and Downs. And two good keepers. I mean, we're not going to start shipping goals left, right, and centre. We're always going to be strong defensively. We got really good defenders and good keepers. Poch couldn't even win a one-horse race with PSG, for sake. I'll tell you what, James. Trust me in this. Do not judge any manager on what happens when they're at PSG. PSG is an absolute shit show of a club. Absolute shit show. I don't even count what happens at PSG on any manager's CV. PSG is a shit show. I agree Moyes deserves time for his style of football. He deserves time for his style of football. Okay. If Moyes brings conference silverware, where do you stand if we finish middle of the table this season? I'll be absolutely delighted with that. We finished mid-table. 10th is mid-table, but I assume you mean roughly. So 10th to like 13th or something like that. And we win the conference. That's silverware. That's silverware, and that is a massive, massive thing for us. To win a meaningful trophy would be unbelievable. We've been starved of that, and it's what we all want. And it gets us into Europa League next season. So we'll have a third season in a row in Europe and silverware. Absolute delighted. Absolutely made up, buzzing if we win the conference. We win the conference, finish mid-table. I don't give a shit about finishing mid-table. If that's what's on offer, I'll take it right now. Very Spursy, that came third in a 2-horse race too. Yeah, but look, whatever you think of him, he did a great job at Tottenham. He took Tottenham to a Champions League final. And like I said, I don't count what happened at PSG. Fucking joke of a club. If we win the conference, we'll take mid-table. We haven't won a proper cup since 98. Exactly, David and Dave. Yeah, agree with that completely. The World Cup will put a lot of players in the shop window for the January transfer window. Will Rice leave and our West Ham buy some players? I don't think Rice will leave mid-season. No. And yeah, World Cup will put a lot of players in the shop window. Definitely. You always kind of. I don't like signing players off the back of a good World Cup. I just don't like doing it. I think it's a little bit of a dodgy way to do transfers. That's not proper scouting. It just isn't. I think you need to do due diligence on players, see how they play week in, week out at their clubs. Now, you can be alerted to players by watching them at the World Cup. You might see a player, have a great tournament. You didn't really know much about him beforehand. He wasn't on your radar. So I think if you see a player like that in the World Cup, then I think then you send your scouts out there once he's back playing club, and you say, right, let's go and find out what this guy's all about. Is he really this good? But I wouldn't buy players just off the back of what they do in a couple of games in the World Cup. I think that can backfire very easily. If Moyes brings silverware from the Conference League and we finish top half, where do you think that leaves Moyes? Safest job in the Premier League, probably. Sadly, I can see Southgate being binned by England after a poor World Cup, which is going for him when Moyes keeps messing up. Oh, Christ. Don't even say it. Don't even say it. I'll put you on the spot, Tommy. Who do you want to win the World Cup? I want England, so we don't get Southgate. Not really into it. I don't have a dog in that hunt, to be honest, when it comes to the World Cup. My team is shit, and we don't get to play in major tournaments, unfortunately. So there's no team that I'm like, oh, I want this team to win the World Cup. I don't have a kind of favourite or anything like that. It's about time for England, though, isn't it? 66, and yeah, it's about time for England. So it would be good if they could finally get that monkey off their back and get that second World Cup. It'd be great for England. But I don't really. I'd love to see Rice do it, though. I'd love to see Rice come back with a World Cup winners' medal. That'd be great. Paqueta has a chance. Paqueta has a chance too to come back with a winners' medal. But I don't have anything particularly invested in it, to be honest. I was just wondering if it's going to be like a great tournament for the simple fact of when it's being played. Normally World Cups in the summer, the players have all had a full season. A lot of them are probably quite tired after a long, hard season. A lot of them will have, played European tournaments as well, and so for them to be playing in November, I mean, they're at peak fitness. The players, they've only played a few kind of domestic games, maybe some cup games and stuff. So they're still like fighting fit and at their peak of fitness and conditioning. So they're not tired yet after a long season. So we could see potentially a really, really good World Cup. Let's scroll down here. Scarborough, welcome. How are you, Scarborough? Good to see you. Moyes has got to be given time to get his key players in the team. Haven't had that consistently so far this season. Yes, we haven't really seen, say, Paqueta, Cornet, Scamacca, Bowen kind of together as a four, week in, week out consistently. Paqueta, like I say, unfortunately got injured just at the wrong time because he seemed to be just starting to find his feet. It was a little bit of a slow start from Paqueta. I think what it was with Paqueta, I think he was having to adjust to the pace and intensity of the Premier League, which is much higher than it is in League One. So I think he was learning. He was having to do everything a little bit snappier. I think he kind of got caught in possession quite a bit in his early games because he could probably play that way in France. A little bit more time and space on the ball, and he was having to learn that the Premier League, you ain't getting that, and everything has to be done more quickly and more sharply. And I think he was just starting to adjust to that, and we're starting to kind of see him get better and better. And then he got his injury. It was really unfortunate. Same thing with Cornet. Just was starting to break into the team. Moyes was starting to play him in games from the start. And he was just starting to establish himself on that left-hand side, and then he gets an injury. It is unfortunate, but we'll see. When Moyes can have all them in the team, there's no excuse at that point. Can we agree on that much, Scarborough? Once he's got all them players available and he can get them in the team, if we're still having the same issues with the lack of attacking intent and lack of goals scored and stuff like that, then he's going to have nowhere to hide. So you can make an excuse for him at the moment, maybe, but not forever. With three cracking midfielders, Tommy, but one of them has to shift backwards this season to send Rice, who scored a small fraction of his goals. Yeah, that was obvious, last season that Souček had been told to sit more. He got 11 goals the previous season. Souček, he was an absolute danger in and around the box, and he had a great season. And then his role changed completely last season. Rice was given the box-to-box job where he could go forward, and Souček had to sit a bit more. Now, Souček could still get forward, but he had to kind of alternate with Rice, and it just didn't quite work. It just wasn't working for him. So Souček now has basically been, again, turned by Moyes into a defensive midfielder. Souček is essentially just an extra defender who plays in midfield at this point, and it has done Souček no favors either, to be completely honest. So I accept that point completely, to be honest. Let's see what else we have here. Jack says, I love Rice. If you don't leave next season, he missed an opportunity. I don't think so. I think he's young enough. He's still got time on his side. He's 24. He's only just starting to come into his prime. So he's still got plenty of time. But yeah, I think, I suspect this might be his last season though, Jack, if I'm honest. So, I think this collective is saying Moyes deserves time. Oh, okay, fair enough. Maybe so. Let's see what else is going on here. And is Cornet and Paqueta available? Cornet, no, I believe so. Moyes hasn't really mentioned Cornet. So I don't expect Cornet to be available. I'd be surprised if he's even on the bench. It would be brilliant if he did show up on the bench. Paqueta, I suspect Paqueta is available. I was surprised actually that Downs and Fornells both started last night. So I suspect Paqueta is available. Whether he'll start, I don't know, but I think he will. I think he'll start at home to Palace. Moyes is very coy about this stuff. He doesn't like to give anything away. I don't know what the big secret is, to be completely honest. I think it's a bit much. But Cornet, I would say no, but Paqueta probably yes. David, it was a great show. Tommy, got to go. Good night, everyone. Thanks, David. Appreciate it. Thanks for joining, and hopefully you'll join me again next week. Enjoy your weekend, mate. As soon as Paqueta gets the goal, he takes off. We haven't even scratched the surface of them. Yeah, I agree. I think Paqueta is going to be absolutely tremendous for us. I think he's going to be brilliant. Sorry, now just scroll down. And yeah, Suchik is better forward than Rice, in my opinion. Does that prove it? Well, he's better at scoring goals. Definitely, he certainly will score more goals than Rice when he's allowed to get forward. But Rice has turned into a world class box to box midfielder. To be fair, I just think he needs a different partner now. I think Souček is not the partner for Rice anymore. I think it should be Downs now, through no fault of Souček, to be honest. If Rice doesn't go, you tell me you could lose him on a free. Possibly. His contract is... yeah, that's the thing. I think we have a 1 year option, right, on Rice. So we wouldn't lose him on a free. Yeah, see, this is the issue we have now, Mandy. I think if we're selling next summer, we can get top dollar for him. If we wait until the following summer, if it comes down to 1 year left in his contract, that's when it starts to get a little bit dicey, and the amount of money you can get for him starts dropping precipitously. So we've got a decision to make, really, on how we handle this, because I don't think we're ever going to get him to sign a new contract, if I'm completely honest. I just don't see it happening. I think he is going to move on. It's when, not if. And so I think if we're going to cash in on Rice and reinvest that money in the team, I think it will have to be next summer, because he is not signing a new contract. But do we have, Mandy, do we have a 1 year option on Rice's contract? Can we extend it to 2025? Do you know? I can't remember. So the midfield three needs to be Rice, Paqueta, and Downs. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. If you're playing a 4-3-3, that is absolutely the way to go. Moyes will make that move because Downs keep performing every game. Yeah, the problem with that is that would require dropping Souček. And right now, if Moyes doesn't drop him when he's playing really poorly, when is he going to drop him? Unless now Downs has done enough to make Moyes do it. But I don't think that's the case. It'll be interesting. Like, I guarantee you, Sunday, Souček's going to start, and if Paqueta's available, Downs will just be dropped back to the bench immediately. I don't see that midfield three happening. I'd love to see it in a 4-3-3, but I don't see it. Be lucky to get 70 million with only 1 year left. Yeah, agreed. Liverpool desperately needed the sorry. Yeah, they do, and they could come knocking. I was just about to say Rice never signs a new contract. No. James, well, Rice is pretty much gone. Silly to get rid of midfielders in that case, but you can't really call a midfielder box to box unless he scores goals reasonably regular in improv. Yeah, I know what you mean. But Rice does go box to box, and he's brilliant at doing it. And I do think that he has to add that to his game, James. And I think he actually knows that. I think Rice understands that he's probably got to start chipping in with more goals if he's going to be making those drives forward. But again, he's such a quality player. He probably will add that to his game. Remember, he is actually still growing. as a player. He's not the finished article. But certainly I agree, Rice needs to chip in more from midfield if he's going to be playing that role. You hit the nail on the head, Rice. If he's good World Cup, Chelsea have got him. Devil and Dave, unfortunately, your bang on Rice will be off in the summer, but what a great guy, and we wish him well. Absolutely wish him well. Just hope with all my heart he doesn't go to Chelsea. That would be hard. Imagine next season having to watch Declan Rice playing in a Chelsea shirt. That would just be so painful for me to see. I won't lie. It would be awful for me to have to see him play for them. Okay, guys, we've been going for an hour and a half, so we're going to leave it at that. Thanks to everybody in the chat. I probably will do the odd show like this on my own because I do like to let you guys have your say. I do like to read your comments. It doesn't matter if we agree on things or not. We're all entitled to our opinions. Thank you all for being respectful, even when you disagree with me and you disagree with each other. We all want the same thing. We all want what's best for West Ham, and we're always going to have different opinions on what that looks like. And I like hearing all your opinions, good, bad, or indifferent. So I really appreciate you guys being in the chat, and hopefully you'll join me again next week. I'll hopefully have a guest or two on with me next week. I've just everyone abandoned me this week, bastards. But thanks again, and I'll just flip through here quickly before we go. Don't want to leave anyone out. Rice to DM, Downs natural replacement, a lot of work. Yeah, Downs looks like the future, doesn't he? Andy G, well done, Tommy. Come on your irons, Night Hall. Come on your irons. James, thanks for joining, mate. Appreciate all your comments. That Wilton Rick and Rice could be convinced Mount to move to. Yeah, that would be nice. Paul Evans, thanks, really welcome. Thank you too, Paul. And listen, good night, guys, and let's hope we can get 3 points against Palace and a good performance. Fingers crossed. But until next Friday, thank you all again. Enjoy your weekends and come on, you Irons.